everybody, welcome back. I'm Kristen here with Indie Game Origin, and today we are sitting down with Ayla Derrick from Cave Bear Games, who both has a game studio where they have developed a game called Plantasia, which is out on early access for just $5 on Steam. I highly recommend that you check that out, especially if you need a game to help you focus. But Cave Bear Games also has a partner program where volunteer-based studios can find people to work with, including artists and concept artists and modelers. If you are interested in the partner program, make sure that you check out the link in the video description below. If you want to get your questions asked to developers and game makers, make sure that you join us on Discord, where I'll be letting you know what interviews are coming up so you can get your questions asked. If you like these chats, please make sure that you like and subscribe. This really helps our channel to grow and ensures that we can bring you future chats with game makers. Hi everybody, welcome back to IGO. I'm here with Ayla Derrick from the Cave Bear Partnership Program, as well as the creators of a game called Plantasia, which if you haven't played, you definitely should. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. And can you tell us a little bit about the partner program and also, yeah, what's going on with Cave Bear?
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, I can definitely tell you kind of about our program. And obviously we are first and foremost a development studio. We launched our game at the beginning of April. It's doing well. It's fun. You know, it's not a huge success or anything like that, but that wasn't expected. That wasn't the goal. The goal was always a portfolio project to gain visibility. And something that happened really early on in our project was we went viral on LinkedIn for being a studio by and for juniors in the game industry. I guess we, reflected some sentiment of other juniors in the industry who are struggling to get jobs, and to see a studio that was particularly dedicated to juniors, I guess they liked that. So that was very, very cool, but it allowed us to meet a lot of other studios who are doing similar things that we are, unfunded, usually, juniors, but mainly unfunded studios who have yet to find funding, but also to meet a lot of people who wanted to volunteer at our studio at first in order to just gain experience so that they would be better equipped to find jobs in the future. And obviously, once we went viral, I didn't have the 800 open positions at Cave Bear that these people wanted, but I wanted to still help them. I knew what they were going through because I was going through it myself. And so I started inviting these other unfunded, volunteer-based indie studios into our Discord, which hosted these people, and allowed them to share their open team positions with our community. This worked out really, really well. I think one of the main questions I get from a lot of indie founders or people who want to build an indie studio is, hey, how do you find a team? And so we've kind of answered that question in a way. It's not perfect, but yeah, it's basically, that's kind of the gist of the program, is the ability to find these junior and volunteer team members in our Discord. We seem to be the only place on the internet to do that. I could be wrong on that. I just haven't come across any yet. No one's mentioned any to me, but yeah, we help them find teams, but now we also are just a really great and big community of other indies, their founders and their teams. And we kind of all fall under the mission of we want to support each other instead of compete against each other. And now we have over 2,600 volunteers, people who are tagged as volunteers in our Discord, and we just reached over 100 studios in the program as well.
Wow. I don't think I'd realized it had reached that many. I was looking at the partnership page on the Cave Bear website, and there's a ton of studios on there. I didn't stop to count. 100's crazy. That's awesome. That's so cool. I think one of the things that I have really enjoyed, both being part of the volunteer cohort that's been growing on the platform, is just this really uplifting, very positive, very helpful environment. And that's not something that in the last few years I have seen quite on that level. There's sort of, here's a single resource, or here's a little bit of support, but I love how open, kind, uplifting, supportive, everybody is in this industry, or in this Discord, I should say. Is there, a metric of success that you would say for, how do you measure success for studio if they were to join your partner program?
What a really good question. I will say that the website itself is not fully updated with all of our studios. Just kind of something that's fallen lower on the priority list. We need to update updated, but we do have 100, I think 102 as of today. So that's very fun. And the Discord itself, it's not the most active Discord in the world, but it's certainly not a dead Discord either. And you're right, it is very helpful. We don't have a collection of resources. We don't have, huge lists of things that might help people. But if a question is asked in the Discord, it's usually answered by someone who is in the industry and may know. So in that case, I appreciate that it's a helpful Discord and active, at least in that way. Yeah, and it's very uplifting to see that, but also just I'm very grateful for it because I feel like I didn't do too much. People kind of just came and used the space, which is great. I'm happy for that. As far as success for the program, that's such a good question and not really one I've thought about. We're coming up on a year with the partner program, and currently I'm the only one who manages it or works with it at all. And I'm also obviously leading a development team who is still actively developing a game, but our game is almost done. And so I am opening up more time to be able to work on the partner program. I'm also building a team to help me work on it and expand it. So I hope that we'll get more official and more fun and be more helpful soon. But I mean, honestly, in terms of success, I always ask every studio, I vet every studio, I personally meet every studio that joins. In terms of success, I just ask them what their goals are for the program. A lot of them, the goal is to find team members. And so if they find those team members, that's a success to me. But also a lot of them is just they'd want to be part of this kind of indie revolution thing that may or may not be happening in our Discord. And, they're just part of the community. So they're able to be active in our Discord. They're able to meet these other indies. We have over 100 now, as I've said, but they're not all junior studios. Like I am a junior studio, that's my whole thing is I haven't done this before. It's my first time doing it. But with over 100, there's a lot of diversity in experience levels, in locations, in game genres. Of course, we probably have every game genre being made somewhere in the Discord. We have, studios from America, obviously, the UK, obviously, but also from Peru, from Ukraine, from Africa, Spain, Brazil, Canada, like everywhere, Australia, I think. I have to double check. So everywhere around the world, which is great. That cultural diversity is really, really awesome. But also just experience levels. We have juniors like me, but we also have, student teams. We have AA ex-employee teams. We have AAA ex-employee teams. We have 3-time founders. We have 20+ year game design veteran founders. So that's why the community itself has become really quite an asset and perk of the program, because there are just there's so much knowledge, there's so much varying experience that when someone comes to the Discord, comes to the community with a question, with a problem, they're able to get answers to pretty much everything, which is great.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's so rad because I think we briefly touched on before we talked today, we had briefly talked about how, it seems like in a lot of ways that indie is the future. It's sort of this, it's kind of punk rock. It's this really like rad way of, this thing that was super inaccessible for years. I mean, understandably, but this thing that was super inaccessible for years, pretty much anybody can decide now to make a game. And so what I think makes games really interesting is that now everybody has a voice. You can find a place at the table if you want. And I love that, Cave Bear has really been facilitating that by being like, hey, yeah, there's plenty of seats. Come on in, like, let's have some fun. Let's share some knowledge. And I really don't think I've seen anything quite like it in the past. I also work a little bit in the animation industry. And I was recently telling our teammates about the Cave Bear Partner Program for game studios. And they thought that would be a really fantastic idea for like animation and for filmmaking, because that's also an industry that's really difficult to find knowledge in or to get a first-time job in. It's a very hard industry to break into if you don't know somebody. And so I think Cave Bear is really onto something. I think that this partner program has come at a really cool time, and it's kind of on the bleeding edge of making these really phenomenal stories. I've met a lot of cool people through the Discord already, and I love watching what everybody's doing on LinkedIn and tagging Cave Bear. So it's really nice to see. And I actually started volunteering with one of the studios, and I love how everybody's just really excited to be there. It's such a nice thing to feel that excitement and that joy in the room. And we just had a marketing meeting right before you and I met up. And I've noticed that people who, like you mentioned, you might have a AAA studio ex-employee who is really eager to share that knowledge with somebody, and And then you've got somebody, about to graduate college that's like, what do I do? Where do I go? How do I handle this? And, you kind of mentioned some of the ways that you go about vetting studios. How do you go about ensuring, that people have a really quality experience when they, come into the Discord, or they start looking for volunteers or a team to join themselves?
It's hard, and I definitely want to improve it. It's very minimal right now. It's difficult because for me, I don't want to tell people how to run their business, right? I don't think that's my place. That's not what I'm trying to do here. However, at the same time, I do have opinions about how things should be done. And so I'm thinking I might write official opinions of Cave Bear, like suggestions or whatever. I don't personally believe in NDAs when it comes to junior volunteer teams, but we also have bigger, like those XAAA employee teams that have done this before and might want an NDA. And so it's not like I'm not trying to tell everyone in the program, hey, you can't have NDAs. The only requirements to join the program are to be a video game development studio of at least 2 people and to be currently unfunded. So you cannot be paying your people and then also requesting volunteers from our Discord. I don't believe in that. I don't believe if you are able to pay some of your people, you should be able to pay all of your people. So I don't, believe in that. So I don't allow that. But that is it. That's it to join the program. And yes, I do meet like this and vet every single studio that applies just to make sure they're not scams. They're real people. They're working on a real project. But that's kind of it. But I do worry about the volunteers because, there have been cases where I have been reached out to by someone working at a studio with concerns. And then I, want to address that. I want to take care of the volunteers because I know that they're putting their time and their faith in this project. And ideally they want to get credited. They want to get published, right? That's the big thing, is they want the game to be done. And so how do I make sure someone's game gets done when I have no say in their business at all? It's a complicated question. And, how do I make sure that all of these studios are treating their volunteers fairly? Again, there's over 100 now, and it's only going to keep growing. So it's something I'm thinking about. I definitely want to improve it. Thankfully, nothing terrible has happened, at least not yet. So I'm very thankful for that. It seems like, most of us do, if not all of us, do fall under that thing of we just want, to make a game. And so that's good. But yeah, it's something I'm thinking more about. And anyone has questions or suggestions, please let me know. I've never done this before. I've never been a program director, just kind of doing this, because it happened. But also at the same time, I tell everyone in my Discord and in all the studios to please come to me if there's any concerns, any questions. I am always available. DMs are always open. I want to be in the loop, so you just have to tell me and I can do something about it. And that has worked so far.
That's awesome. It's like an open door policy. Please come in, chat with me if you need to. I think that's a really important tool to have because, as you mentioned, you can't always plan for something happening. And, human beings, we are very cool, but things can happen. Things can happen that aren't planned. And, my experience has been really, really great. Everybody's super kind and patient. And because everybody is volunteering, spending basically their free time, there seems to be a lot less stress, where I think if you're working inside of a studio that has funding that is super, super official, there can be, stress of deadlines and did we make enough microtransactions, and it becomes very, very corporatized very quickly, which I'm sure for a lot of studios that might actually be the end goal for them, is to work in that kind of an environment. But I think it helps to kind of take some of that initial, money-oriented stress off, which is a really nice place to be in. And I've noticed, that Cave Bear is really transparent. Everything from, the LinkedIn, your social media presence, very open about, being a junior studio, what's the word I'm looking for? Core competencies, your core skills. And it's such a refreshing thing to see because I totally understand why AAA studios need to be secretive, why things need to kind of be under wraps. There's always going to be somebody there trying to snake an idea. It's a huge, multi-billion-dollar industry. But I do love about, indies that we don't have to be that way, that we can be a lot more open and a lot more transparent. If a studio wanted to join the program, do they typically need to have an idea already sort of sketched out for what it is that they want to create? Or is there also room for somebody who's maybe looking for collaboration to even get that sort of foundational idea together?
Interesting question. I will say I'm a very open person, so that's why I make the studio and my social media page very open. I just don't really believe in secrets. I'm also not very good at them, so don't tell me secrets. Sometimes I worry about my eventual need to sign an NDA if I work with a fancy company, because I'm just bad at keeping secrets. So, I enjoy being transparent. I just don't feel whatever it is that people feel the need to keep that secret stuff secret, whatever. So I'm very open, and I'll pretty much talk about anything to anyone, which, has been a negative sometimes in the past, but it's worked out fine for the most part. But I will say as well that, Cave Bear obviously is unfunded. All these other studios are unfunded. Most of them are looking for funding. Cave Bear did not look for funding for Plantasia. We will probably in the future. But you're right, it is extremely freeing to not have to add money into the mix and not have that stress. It is so nice. It's so nice that I recommend these other junior studios who are making their first game to do that if they are able to just not include money in the process at all, because it's amazing. Like, it really is, just makes the creativity of all of the team members better. There's just no stress when it comes to money, and then anything money related is like a bonus. Like when we started selling the game, it's like, oh my god, look how much money we've made. It's not a lot, but the fact that it's what it is at all is great and really, really awesome. So it's, if you are in the position, which not everyone is, and I totally get that, but if you are in the position to do it, I highly recommend it. But yeah, I will say all of the studios that have joined have had their own idea already. I did have one guy, and actually it was a while ago, I'm not sure what happened to him. I think he decided to just work like an actual job for a while, but he was looking for like a creative director. He had a kind of a basic idea, but it was more like a mechanical idea, and he wanted a creative director, and I was going to help him find one. I'm actually kind of bummed that he decided not to go down that route right now, because I was really interested in helping him source a creative director. I like helping people source people, and that was an interesting one that I haven't gotten to do yet. But no, mostly they have the idea already. Most people who decide to start a game studio decide to do it because they have a cool game idea that they want to make, but people are certainly allowed to do that. If they have their own studio and they want to find an idea to collaborate on, they're certainly welcome. I think that would be super fun. I think it would be a very unique experience for someone in the Discord to be able to have that creative hand in it without, being the business owner, which can be very scary and very inaccessible. That would be very cool. I'm definitely welcoming of that. I just don't know how common that is. I mean, like I said, we have over 100 studios and none of them have done that. So that would be cool.
That would be really awesome, because I just wonder if there's maybe somebody sitting at home that's like, I want to make a game, but maybe they feel even stuck on that first step. I have noticed that my experience with people that I've chatted with here at IGO is they have this sort of brain blast that they're like, this is what I want to talk about. And maybe the methodology or how the story goes about to kind of get to that point, maybe that changes over time, but that root kind of concept seems to stay the same. So it's really cool to see, maybe these different methods. But if 100 people have already kind of had the concept before, maybe that's a pretty good method for success as well. I like that Cave Bear leaves open this door for flexibility, that, if you're a shooter game or an RPG game or something like this, that there are avenues to go down. You'll probably find somebody who's also interested in that style of gameplay as well. And it's been really, really fun to see what everybody's working on, and I'm sure that more and more stuff's going to come out, in the later months and later years as things progress. Have you noticed any kind of, how can I say, have you noticed when you talk to studios as they're developing, if there's any specific motivation? Is their motivation typically just to tell a cool story, or a lot of people looking to kind of break into the industry? Like, what are the biggest motivations for a studio to get involved?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest motivation, of course, at first is, the service we provide of being able to help them find team members, because that appears to be a difficult thing to do. But, as far as like forming their own studio, they all really revolve around the passion of wanting to make a game that is their own. A lot of them have done this out of necessity because they can't find a job and just want to make games, but no one is willing to pay them to do that. And so they just do it themselves. Some of them are students who started game jams, but really liked the idea and thought that they could do more. And so they have decided to continue the project and make a studio of it, which is very, very cool. Some of them are just like, I've had this game idea in my head for years and I just want to do it, for whatever reason now is the right time. And they just want to pull the plug or not pull the plug. whatever that saying is, the other one, and just do it now. So that's cool. But yeah, it really all revolves around the idea of, or the passion of wanting to make that game. You know, some are specific with mechanical things that they want to try, mechanics that they want to try. I know one of my studios, Froglet, has like a very interesting mechanic that they want to explore and build a game around. Some they want to explore certain genres. You know, there's a lot of horror games that I've seen in our program that, you know, they just like horror and they want to make their own horror story. Others are just, you know, like we have one studio who just, like I said, is an RPG that she's had in her head for forever and she just wants to make it. And our program allows her to find people to help her where she wasn't in a position to find those people before. But really, yeah, it all just boils down to they just want to make a game, man. And they don't really care anymore about waiting for the permission from these big studios to do it. They can do it on their own. I think that's what we succeeded at, was showing everyone that, hey, you can do this no matter what situation you are in. Because, you know, I have zero experience. I was a teacher 2 years ago. I was a casual gamer. I don't know anything about anything, but I did it. So if I can do it, then you can do it. And they see that and they're like, okay, yes, now is the time.
That's awesome. It's like making the leap kind of into this creative endeavor. Yeah, I was talking to, is Golden Horde part of, I think Golden Horde is part of, yeah. So I was just talking to Sean from Golden Horde, and it was really cool because as we were talking about, you know, his motivation for building this game and building this studio, it actually came out that he started building it for his wife, which I thought was the coolest thing in the entire world. And he looked a little bit shy when I was like, that's the cutest thing I think I've ever heard in the world. But it's so cool to see that people are now empowered to do that, right? If they do want to build something for their partner, or if they do, like Plantasia, if they do want to build something that is, you know, designed to help people focus, or you want to play a really unique horror title, we don't have to wait necessarily for funding anymore, which is such a cool place to be. You know, I remember being a kid and there was so much mystery behind how all of these games got made, but now we get to see behind the curtain, we get to be the curtain, we get to open the curtain, and that's such a really cool place to be. I think, you know, Cave Bear is going to see some really unique games come out of that, you know, come out of the partner program. I, for one, am very excited to see them. You know, have you noticed with the volunteer programs if there have been any, how can I say it, have there been any structural items or any kind of organizational methods that have helped studios succeed, or have there been any, you know, major sort of obstacles that studios have had to overcome that maybe were hindering their progress?
Oh, definitely. And that's one of the things that I'm hoping I can create resources to help educate on these things in the future, because for now I'm just kind of like talking with each studio one-on-one about these things when they come to me with these issues. I will say too, Golden Horde is great. They're definitely one of our more promising studios. I'm really excited about their game. It's a genre that I really like. I have yet to play their demo, which is on Steam, and I can't remember the game name. Shoney Island. It's like a city builder thing. I don't know the genre name, but I love that genre. I played a lot, so I'm very, very interested in their game. And Sean is super cute. I did not know he made it for his wife. That's very cute. I love that, and definitely on brand for him. So that's very cool. But yeah, I think one of the biggest issues that a lot of studios come to me about is related to team management. Leadership is hard. I think my background as a teacher really helped translate into leadership position, because I know how to communicate with different types of learners, different types of workers. And so I'm able to figure out what motivates them and how to support them, you know, because that's what I did as a teacher. With every student is different. Not everyone has that skill, and that's okay. But leadership is extremely, extremely important when it comes to anything, but especially these volunteer indie studios. And so, you know, they just need more education on how to lead. And a lot of them will not really realize the importance of production and having a producer. They think that they can do it themselves. They're like, yeah, I'm relatively organized. I know, you know, what I want from the game and I can do it myself. But, you know, the founder's job is extremely varying and a lot. And if you don't dedicate enough time to production, then the team is going to struggle, especially if they're juniors, you know, who who need a lot of guidance and a lot of support. Yeah, so that's one of the big issues. We've had an internal issue, which was interesting, and I actually did an event for the partners to kind of educate and help rectify this a little bit, and I think it's gotten a lot better. But we had an issue kind of nearer the beginning where we had these studios come in who had never done this before. This was new to them. They maybe had 2 or 3 people on their team, and all of a sudden they have access to hundreds of people who are applying to their studio. And so they fill up a bunch of positions really, really quickly, and they go from like 3 people to like 20 people really, really quick. And then they're unable to manage that. They don't know how to handle that at all. They still have no producer. They just bloat really quickly and then are just, unable to handle it. And so we had some issues with that where they had to scale back, which was a bummer. And that's kind of one of the things about like protecting the volunteers that I want, because unfortunately for some of those volunteers, they didn't have a good time, right? And so it's kind of those things where it's hard to see before it happens, but I want to educate those leaders into how to properly onboard members and how to scale appropriately. We had, like I said, a whole event about it where I brought in, I talked about it because we've had a successful team growth, but also I brought in actual people who have run teams before and knew what they were doing, mentors. I'm big on mentors and education, obviously, as a teacher. So yeah, there's definitely issues. Leadership is definitely a big one because I think it's the most important one, really, when you're running a team, especially of volunteers. So I take that very seriously, and I want to create resources and pathways and programs to help studios figure that out.
For a studio, that would be so helpful, because I will say on the team that I've been working with, we have a producer who, she absolutely keeps the cogs running. Rachel, if you're watching this, you're awesome. She is really cool about essentially greasing the cog, making sure everything's kind of moving along. And I think, she has been such a pivotal part of making sure that story, keeps moving forward and things are going where they need to go. That's a really great point, and I've seen, with Cave Bear, there's a lot of stuff that you guys have talked about kind of on LinkedIn, these sort of learning processes that you went through. Also with developing Plantasia, has your experience developing Plantasia influenced any of the choices or future educational opportunities that might show up in the partner program?
Oh, definitely. Like I said, that whole producer thing, like I have a producer, I love her. There's no way I could have done it without her. And so I was able to learn very quickly the importance of producers when they were something that I didn't super think about too hard. When I first started out, a producer wasn't really on our list of someone that we needed. We just knew someone else on the team, or no, a mutual friend of the team suggested their friend who was a producer to join, and they did. And that's when I started to learn about production and see how important it was. Unfortunately, that person left the team relatively early. They were only around a little bit. But after they left, I was like, well, we definitely need another one, which is something before, I wasn't even thinking about a producer. It wasn't even on my list of people. I was like, I need a programmer and an artist and a designer. Like that's what I need, right? So I learned that very early, and that was over the course of the project that I learned. But, also I learned the importance of marketing as an indie studio. I've learned the importance of QA early. Just a lot. I've learned how to manage the Steam back end and how to publish a game on Steam, which is really complicated and really hard if you've never done it before. So it's a learning experience for sure. And I've learned a lot of things that I can now pass to the partner program, but also just get other people to help with, like contracts. Contracts are really, really difficult because they're inaccessible. They're really expensive, especially if you have no money in your unfunded studio. And so I can pass along my knowledge about contracts, but that one's a little bit harder because I can't help people get contracts, right? Because they cost money. And so, that's one of the projects that I'm really hoping to work on relatively soon, is how to make contracts more accessible, like custom contracts more accessible to our partners. Because, we got really lucky with a pro bono lawyer. Like that was super awesome. And the only reason we got that was because of the connections that I had made in my networking and the fact that we went viral and all that fun stuff, which obviously is not the case for a lot of the other studios in the program. And so I want to use those connections, those resources that I have got, that I have benefited from, and give them to the program and help them however I can. So hopefully that will be one of the bigger projects that I start soon once I get some more people on the team to help me. But yeah, endless amounts of things that I have learned that I can pass on to the partners, as well as again, the experience levels that we have in the program are able to pass that down as well.
It reminds me a lot of when people used to live in sort of hunter-gatherer societies. This is going to seem unrelated for a second, but when we used to live in these, very like sort of small villages, or we were very nomadic, the only way that you could pass down knowledge, the only way that you knew what was going on was for people to actively be sharing that information with juniors, which in that time it would be kids. But now we've got a very unique opportunity where people in a super skilled position, or people who have been through that experience before, posting a game on Steam, I don't even know where I would start with that, right? I don't even know what the first step would be of that process. So it's very cool to be in a position where that knowledge can be shared, and it can just sort of be open and available to anybody who wants to participate in that. And I think that's one of the huge benefits, of the partner program. Yeah, what's the future of same. Yeah, my computer's decided to hijack some things.
Yeah, so sorry. It's funny that you bring up, I was just pulling something else up on my other screen because I don't remember it off the top of my head. I have to read it. It's funny that you bring up like the hunter-gatherer thing because, and I don't talk about it too much, but my name, Ayla, is from a book. And that book is called Clan of the Cave Bears, which is also where the Cave Bear Games comes from. And I've only read the book once. I can't say that I'm super knowledgeable about the book in general. I should definitely, there's also like more than one book. It's a series and I haven't read the other books, but it's fun to have like a direct reference to where my name was. And that book is about a hunter-gatherer society. Ayla, the main character, is a human little girl who gets kind of adopted into a Neanderthal tribe, and she grows up with them and their rules and their traditions and all that stuff. And it's very feminist, right? It's like, she was a woman, a girl, she wasn't allowed to do a lot of things, and she wanted to do those things. And as a human in a Neanderthal tribe, she had certain advantages physically, it's a whole thing. But one of the quotes that I like the best from the book is, I'll read it here. It says, no one told her it was impossible to rapid fire 2 stones from a sling because it had never been done before. And since no one told her she couldn't, she taught herself how to do it. I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to say I'm doing anything radical, like inventing something. But I do definitely feel that very supportive kind of community just in my life. Like I said, I don't have secrets. I like to share. I like to help. And so I'm happy to bring that into my professional life now in the industry. And I don't believe in gatekeeping, again, open book kind of thing. I want to help. And I understand because I'm in the situation as well. I understand where these studios are coming from, how they want to just take fate into their own hands, their future into their own hands, and do something that they love. And I want to support them with that because I have succeeded, thank God, despite everything. I'm very lucky, and I want to share that. So the future of the program is, like I said, just expanding it, figuring out what bigger things we can do, how we can best support these studios, what do they need now, what are their highest needs, their most important needs their important problems that they need solved. And it's a lot of work, again, which is why I'm expanding the team or building a team from just me. And I hope we can do something really cool and be something really cool, like I don't know, like the International Game Developers Association, IGDA. It's been around forever, and everyone knows it, and it's great, and does a lot of great things. Like I think we have the potential to grow to something like that, and that's what I want to do. I think I like helping. It's very clear that what we're doing is needed, is wanted, and so yeah, I want to support that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the future of games is changing. Something I've talked to a lot of indie devs about, and I'm sure you have as well, is that the future of gaming looks very different than it has traditionally. And I think as the scope of the industry is changing, there are very unique opportunities to create something that's new, to create brand new environment, to, hear entirely new voices that haven't really had an opportunity to express themselves in this way before. It's going to be really exciting to see who comes in, what ideas they have, what they build, what they manufacture, what they share with the world. And I for one, am really psyched to see that. Because as a person, I play AAA games. I definitely do. I love these indie experiences. I think smaller games have the capacity to eventually become really big games, potentially. Or maybe they don't have to be that big. I was talking to the artist from a game called Space Sprouts recently, and I loved a quote from his is from his chat that we had, that he said a game doesn't have to necessarily be super big. It can just be. It can be a piece of art. It can be a story that you want to tell. It can be this goofy kind of weird little experience. And yeah, maybe someday you sell it, but it can also just be this fun thing that you made to share. And I've been feeling very inspired by the work that, Cave Bear is doing, that a lot of the partners in the program are doing. And as you mentioned, I think there's a huge capacity for developing, studios that might go on to become really, large scale at some point. There's a lot of opportunities that are available there. And I for one, am super excited to see what people come up with. People are so creative. It blows my mind. I find these ideas in there, things I would have never thought of. And I've been really enjoying seeing everybody's participation and enjoyment in the program. If somebody wants to build a team, if somebody's got an idea for a game and they're feeling like it's time to make the jump, how should they go about, applying for the program? Where should they get started?
Yeah. And I'm hoping to kind of solve this problem too, but I haven't figured it out yet. Because currently we only accept teams that are at least 2 people. But I do often get, solo developers who want to join the community, not for the team building, but just for the community. And I don't want to turn them away. It's just I don't quite have a solution yet. I think solo dev is crazy. I think they're so impressive. Like I honestly don't get it how they do these things. I want to support them. I just don't know how to yet. And then we get people who want to make a game. They have a game idea. They think they can do it. They want to start a studio, but they need that second person. And again, I can't allow them into the program quite yet because they only have one person. And so I try to just help those people individually and try to find their second person, through other communities that I'm a part of. And that has worked a couple of times. So that's nice. But again, I'm hoping I can expand it and be able to support them, specifically those one person teams who either are trying to grow or not, or trying to stay solo. I just haven't figured that out yet. But yeah, the program is very cool. It's filled with very unique people, very cool people who are doing very cool things, as you know. And yeah, I mean, at least with my project, I don't know about everyone else, but with my project, I'm okay with it just being what it is. It doesn't have to sell 1 million copies. We have, sold 254 as of today, which is, I'm so happy with that. These people really like the game and it works as intended. And, it's fine if it doesn't blow up. I'm okay with that. That was never the point. It's cute. It's nice. I'm endlessly proud of it. I'm endlessly proud of my team. Yeah, it's nice. It's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that's been so refreshing as both a participant and a viewer of what's going on, is just it's a brand new open door. And, we get to see what's going to happen, what's behind it, and uphold and uplift people. I think that's something in my life personally, I've been trying to figure out what's the best way to do that. I think we need that now more than ever, to find opportunities both in and out of creative pursuits to try to make our spaces a little bit better, to make the future a little bit better. And I'm so pumped to see, people join the program and keep making really cool things. And a lot of the studios that are already part of the partner program are planning to launch their games either this year or sometime next year. Started to see more and more people getting closer to demos and releasing trailers and things. So Cave Bear has facilitated some really incredible work already. And it sounds like there's a lot of, I don't know if it's going to pick up the beeping in the background. So it looks like there's going to be, a lot of people coming in the future as well. So yeah, if somebody is watching this, if you are trying to build a studio, definitely make sure that you join the Cave Bear Discord. It sounds like that. It looks like there's an application as well on the Cave Bear website. Is that where people should go if they want to participate?
Yes, sorry, forgot to mention that. Yeah, on the website, cavebeargames.com, there is a Partner Studios tab, and it tells you a little bit about the program. I will update the page eventually to make it better, because it's kind of mid right now. But yes, it does have a link to become a partner, and that takes you to a form. I go through the applications about once a week. I meet, like I said, with every single person, so I'll send, an email, be like, hey, come meet with me, here's a link. And yeah, honestly, that's kind of it. As long as you meet those 2 requirements of having at least 2 people and being unfunded, you're pretty much guaranteed an in. I don't think I've had to say no to the only people I've said no to were people who were not development studios. They were like publishers or something, or trying to be publishers or whatever, or tool makers who weren't developing a game, they were developing a tool, or people who, like I said, were only one person, or people who have had some funding that they were able to pay some people, and I wasn't quite able to figure it out to make it work. But yeah, so like I said, as long as you meet those 2 requirements, you're pretty much guaranteed an in. It's a pretty easy, simple process. Honestly, the hardest part is just waiting for me to go through the applications, because I'm just one lady, and I got got a lot going on, but it's fine. I'll get there eventually. Just ping me. Like I said, my DMs are always open. So yeah, join the Discord. Definitely check out the opportunities if you're a volunteer, if you want to get into, and I say volunteer, and some people don't quite get it. A lot of these studios have rev share equity agreements. Some are truly volunteer where they don't have any contracts like that, where they're making and releasing free to play games, and so there is no money involved at all. And so volunteer is the most appropriate word. I use the term volunteer because I think it's an umbrella word. It works for every studio in the program. But yeah, a lot of us have rev share contracts like me. A lot of us have equity or co-ops. We even have in there. So yeah, I mean, no money's involved yet, but again, most people are looking for funding, so it's possible. Just make sure that when you join a team, if you want to join a team, you know what your goals are. If your goals are, hey, I want my name and credits, I want a published game, or I want to join a team that is looking for funding. Make sure you know what your goals are. You can match up with the appropriate team. And if you're a studio, make sure you know what your goals are. If you are trying to publish a game, if you're trying to get funding, you need to be able to communicate those goals with your volunteers so that you're all on the same page. Clear expectations is what I tell everyone all the time. Yeah, and just talk to me if you ever have any questions. Even if you don't want to join the partner program, or if you're not eligible or whatever, my DMs are open. I'm so happy to talk about this kind of stuff with anyone and share the experiences that I have gained. And I don't know everything, but I can point you to people who do know more than me, and I can also learn from you, and I want to learn from you. So DM me on LinkedIn, ideally. I'm on Discord too, but ideally LinkedIn.
Awesome. I'll definitely drop a link with the cut thing so the bots can't scan and start sending you messages. I noticed that if I drop links in the YouTube subscriptions, that bots will scan it and start spamming messages. All of this to say, yeah, I'll definitely drop a link there, because I've enjoyed both you and the program. Are such an uplifting, just very big breath of fresh air. I can't think of a less cliche way to say that. So I guess that's the best way to say. And yeah, thank you so much for joining with me. Is there anything you would like to share about the program that maybe we didn't talk about so far?
No, I don't think so. Again, our whole mission is to support each other instead of compete against each other. Obviously, at the end of the day, we are still competitors. Not every studio is going to make it, is going to reach their goals, but ideally, with the help of everyone, more of us will be able to make it. And that's really it. Overall, you are gaining experience either way. If the studio fails or it doesn't, you've learned something. And I think that at the end of the day, that's what's most important to me. Again, former teacher, really big into that learning thing. So yeah, I mean, obviously, my whole goal with the program is to make things more accessible to unfunded studios. And if you're looking for funding and you don't want to be an independent studio, that's fine. We can help you before that. But also, I think being independent is really, really cool. And I hope to be able to make the independent route a lot more accessible as well. So yeah, we'll see where the program goes. Like I said, we're coming up on a year now soon, and I'm hoping to do a lot more cooler, bigger things with the team. And yeah, hopefully we can get some really, really cool, really helpful things going in the near future.
Awesome. I am so excited to see the growth, the stories, the teams just grow and thrive and continue doing what they do, and really building a unique branch of gaming, one that I really just haven't seen yet. And yeah, I'm going to leave a little note for the listener here. If you're listening to this and you're not a game developer and you don't want to build a game, but you are interested in seeing these studios, definitely make sure to follow Cave Bear on LinkedIn. They are also, you're on Instagram, TikTok, I believe, a lot of social media platforms. So definitely make sure to follow them and keep an eye on some of the teams that are coming out of there as well. So yeah, thank you again so much for joining me. Oh, I almost forgot. Cave Bear developed Plantasia. If you want a game that is going to help you kind of focus, it's really great for me because I have goldfish brain. I am very much like, ooh, shiny. I'll look away and forget what I was doing. So Plantasia is really great. Sits right on the bottom of your screen, and you can water and take care of these plants out in space, and Bear will support you through the whole process. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely make sure to check out Plantasia. And I am super pumped to see what the future of indie games is overall, and what that voice is for Cave Bear and any of the partners that exist so far and will come into the future. And it sounds like there's some really cool growth that's happening. So I'm super pumped to see that. Yeah, thank you so much, Ayla. It's been a true pleasure to chat with you and to see what's coming what's coming in the next chapter of gaming.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it's really exciting. There are a lot of cool games coming out of the program soon from these awesome studios like Shoney Island, and I'm really excited about Plantasia itself. We're still in early access, and we have a very, very cool update coming out soon that I am personally the most excited about, probably over the course of the whole project. I've been waiting for this because, we're in, it's like Kristen said, you grow plants and you're in space and you're this orbital greenhouse lab that you're growing plants in. And right now, while it looks really cool because our artist is great, there isn't any kind of customization, but there will be very soon, and with a variety of colors and aesthetics, and you will get to choose all of that. So I'm really, really excited for that coming out. So if that interests you, check us out on Steam. But yeah, the program is great. Please come check us out on Discord, on LinkedIn as well, and check out what these studios are up to.
I'm super excited to customize some stuff. That's going to be so awesome because Plantasia, as you mentioned, beautiful. Like the art is beautiful, music's beautiful. I can't wait to customize some stuff. That's going to be so sick. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much, and I will definitely make sure to blast on socials when that update for Plantasia comes out. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me.